Okay, so hello everybody, my name is William, and now today I'm going to talk about who I'm voting for California Attorney General. I'm talking about, the bill I'm talking about is I'm talking about two bills here, which is, AB 2624. You know, and there's another bill I'm talking about, AB 1608. So we need to talk about these two bills here. But before I can get to that, let's talk about who I'm voting for. So I'm voting for Michael Gates for California Attorney General. Okay, yeah, because he has pretty good things he probably wants to do for California. That's why. So, but let's talk about what Rob Bonta did first of all. So for Rob, yes, this is your choice for Attorney General. Yeah. So if we elected Bob Bonta, yeah, it will be crime up, and then he'll be soft on repeat offenders, and he will sue police-friendly cities. He will make, his result will be higher crime concerns and repeat offenders released in less safe communities. And yes, it is true that California can't afford more of the same. More people just moving out of California, and that's not good. So I would say, yeah, don't vote for Rob Bonta. The best thing you can do is vote for Michael Gates for Attorney General. You have career, if you vote for Michael Gates, look, you have career attorney, zero tolerance for repeat offenders, and he will back law enforcement, and the result is proven leadership. He will be tough on crime, and there will be stronger in safe communities. And yes, the choice is yours, but the best thing to do is, I would suggest you to vote for Michael Gates instead of Rob Bonta. Anyway. Just so you know anyway. Well, there's a bill that Rob Bonta is supporting, and the Republicans are calling it the Stop Nick Shirley Act. Let's read about it, and let's see what happens. So, keeping up the California reputation till you felt it impossible before. Now watch him. Okay, so first of all, who is Nick Shirley? Well, let me show you. You probably don't know who this guy is. So Nick Shirley. All right, this guy here. There's his YouTube channel right there. He is So he's American. So he's a Republican YouTuber and influencer. Yeah, that's what he is. Yeah, and he came to California to expose fraud, which is great. But the problem is that Gavin Newsom and also Rob Bonta, did not like it at all. And this also makes me mad at them. Because we should expose fraud in the U.S., we should not be like, all Gavin Newsom and Rob Bonta, all he does is just making laws that violate our First and Fourth Amendment. That's not good. So, So so now you know who this guy is, Nick Shirley. He's an American white ring YouTuber and influencer, meaning that he is a Republican YouTuber, and that's why. Just like I'm a Republican YouTuber and also on Rumble and BitChute. So, that's why. I never met Nick Shirley, but if you want to watch him, you can. He has his own YouTube channel anyway, so. And now, so right here, so what is it? So keeping up with the California representatives bill possible for. Now you can watch him like a hawk. Sign up for the registrator. My weekly provides a report of what your state represents say and do. Okay. Okay, Angelica Celeste is using from people's opinions, providing light aid for immigrants. She knows that many people have different views of immigration, even ones that contradict hers. But she wasn't prepared for the moment the stronger had showed up at her mother's house looking for her. And I was shocked. My mother said somebody came looking for you. Same Celeste, the executive director for the Coalition of the Human Immigrant Rights. It's okay if someone decides to packet me, and if they don't agree what I'm doing, that's their First Amendment right. That's very different to go for your mother's home. Instance that like one. In the threatening phone calls, Celeste and her staff regularly received that her organization supported a bill that would expand privacy program that allow certain workers to hide their way live in their public databases. Instead of controversial at first, but the expansion of the Safe Home program at legislature approved the first year that passed a little opposition. The new proposal of the firestorm among some Republican legislators and conservatives who argue of the judicial silence independent investigations of government wrongdoing. Not only are the unwilling to investigate fraud, but legislators are making quietly moving in the opposite direction. Assembly member Josh Hoover Bolton said at a GOP press conference about fraud last week. The proposal with the Assembly Public Safety Committee this week is moving through the legislature. Okay, now expand Safe Home program. Originally, the Students Help Violence Covered Safe Home program and the students conditional addresses for public records, providing substance abuse address to California Secretary of State. People who same number of residents also eligible. So saying the creation of 30 years ago already has expanded, includes stalking, sexual assault, and human trafficking, as well as people who work public health and care during the COVID-19 pandemic of public health officials and shelter individuals, and this evidence of the received that's the violence. Now, last year, California has passed a law expanding people who work at general affording health care, though the bill has been advanced through the most important party line vote received part of the city of Justice Part 2 of the on the floor. Now, new measure, Assembly Bill 2624 would widen the eligibility for Safe at Home program immigration support services provider, employee, or volunteer, such as silence of her colleagues. Stopping independent journalists. Okay, some independent supporters like Corina Miles of Diego has railed against the bill, arguing that it violates conditional protections for the press of the limits journalists and ability to investigate organizations for the fraud, waste, and abuse. Okay, preventing late last month, DeMaio had pointed to the provision of the bill that would ban a person from knowing the posting on the internet, as discrimination or image of design immigration support services provider. This provision goes on to say the intent and admit to go bodily harm and reasonable fear. DeMaio dubbed the bill the Stop Nick Shirley Act after the conservative social media influencer in whose 2025 video who accused of child care in Minnesota and widespread fraud. His pieces of the surge of federal immigration enforcement activity. In February, Shirley visited several Somali-run daycare centers in San Diego, where he accused the runners of owning ghost facilities with no children at present. DeMille, who argues that the bill will curb Shirley and other citizen journalists from investigating taxpayer-funded organizations by intimidating with costly fines and sanctions. This is not about protecting people from violence, said DeMille. This is about threatening and intimidating people who are trying to just shine a light on bad behavior. If you have nothing to hide, why fear on transparency? During a Fox News segment, Caroline Sunshine, President Donald Trump's former deputy communications director, urged Governor Gavin Newsom to denounce the bill, calling it an authority piece of legislation. Okay, and the sign for science journalists to cover up the mess that is in California. Shirley himself posted a 25-minute video confronting Democratic legislators about the proposal, pointing out the bill's author, the Democratic Assembly member Mia Bonta of Oakland, is married to California Attorney General Rob Bonta. Instead, going up the fraudsters, Shirley said in the video, they're trying to make it criminal to go after people who are committing this fraud. Reaction to the bill call it shocking. Assembly member Bonta contends that the bill attempts to prevent misuse of proposal information, simply actions and tied to threats and incitement of violence. Unlimited lawful speech, but the measures have drawn so much to the right that Bonta said she said to her, "Some had the death threats over it." I can't imagine how it must be for immigrant service providers who are doing their job every single day to have to deal with this level of hate, she said at the public safety hearing. The proposal has been amended to exclude emissions of social media, though that language was a law making gender-affirming healthcare providers eligible for the compatibility program. Now, Jenny Rodriguez testified in support of the bill as a follow of the Senate's Policy Institute, the Women's Foundation of California's reaction of the been shocking. This law has been in existence for 30 years, and no one has the issue for 30 years until now. We wanted to immigrant service providers, Rodriguez said. That's the trigger, it's immigrant, and that was sad for me. Okay, and now let's see. There's also a bill about the fraud about the high-speed rail project. Let's read about this too, okay? And then I'll talk about... So yeah, California Inspector General Molitor has prolonged out the high-speed rail project. No lawmaker wants to law office support of the situation records of the public. So keeping up the California representatives of the Rust Proposal 4, they can watch them like a hawk. Now, some of the industry where you can this part of tracks, Brazil will do. The alternative, the California's High-Speed Rail Authority wants the power to keep certain records confidential, drawing of the transparency advocates of the agency that shield vital information about the controversial. Yes, Mom? Okay.
I bought you lots of stuff for your birthday. We're gonna go to the market? Or are you gonna play with that?
Market? Well,
You can do that later. You're supposed to be helping with the store.
all right, Mom. I'll help you with the store. Just let me stop this, please. It's a shield the project of the public. Okay, well, I'm gonna stop it there for now because I gotta go to the market. Okay, with my mom. I'll be back. Okay, well, I have to go right now, so I'll be right back, guys. Okay, guys, I'm back, and let's go back. I'll go back to talking about this bill. So I think I left off over here. So Assembly Bill 1600A will. Through Transportation Committee, Lori Walston will allow Jurisdicting High-Speed Authority to withhold records, abilities, reveal likeness of the guard state, prevent state appropriately. The bill has also prevent release of discussions of provincial papers, correspondence, and the person submits request of the speed records of private. The legislation to have blessing of Governor Gavin Newsom, whose administration released an identical budget trailer bill, a vehicle for the governor and legislative leaders to adopt minor reforms scrutiny with minute public input on Monday. The language, both proposals, in his office is H.D. Palmer, H.D. Palmer, spokesman, and the Department of Finance. The office of the General High-Speed Rail Authority, with adults and minors, makes policy regulations of the authority. Was formed in 2022 after assembling Democrats held the bullet train funding hostage in exchange for increased oversight. The rail line, designed to connect San Francisco to Los Angeles, was approved by voters in 2008. At the time, the estimated cost was $300 billion by completed by 2020. It is now estimated to cost $200 billion. Segment connecting Merced and Bakersfield planned to become completion by 2033. The project delays of ever-increasing price tag have frustrated both Democrats and Republicans. Former Assembly Speaker Anthony Randin, a Los Angeles Democrat who held the funding in 2022, said at the time there was no confidence of the project. The U.S. Kevin Cayley and Rockin' Republican has further criticized it as a waste of money and introduced legislation gut funding, federal funding for it. Now, Walston, citizen of the city Democrat, a former city auditor, said the bill will empower the inspector of the general's office and ensure the public records of requests of the sensitive data, such as whistleblower identities, details of fraud documents regarding payment litigation, and records about the security risk. The High-Speed Rail Authority officials will not turn over the sensitive records to the oversight agency and office compelled to release them, and forcing the general's office through hoops obtain information on those, she argued. Let me get my water. Okay, the only way to get a level of transparency of accountability that the legislator acquires that make our Inspector General's office, who are technically the eyes and the ears of the public, have the protection needed available to take full deep drive without hindrance. Whistle told Kel Matters in an interview last week. Now, Palmer said Wilson's point, arguing the governor's proposal aims to allow inspectors of general office communicate sensitive findings and several bodies of position to take corrective action. But some good government groups see the measure offerings of Inspector General's office will let the authority withhold anything it does not want to disclose. This is a wholesale atom bomb to disclosure, said Chuck Champion, the president of the California News Publishers Association. And in the measure of the drawing of secession from the Republicans, who had already considered the project failure, Assembly member Alexandra Marcetto, the Vestia Republican, said it is insulting that the project began when she was in middle school, remained far from complete. She called the empty concrete the high-speed rail structures, though they're strictly modern-day Stonehenge. As far as I'm concerned, every once of this project should be available for public consumption. And should be presented by by extraterritoriality and entirely a legislative body, she said. Officials from the High-Speed Rail Authority, the Inspector General oversees that, declined the Kalmaner's request for comment. Newsom's office did not respond to Kalmaner's questions by the past time, but Wilson's statement of the story was plumaged. The bill, the latest of the series, legislative attempts to shield records of the agencies from the public. Last year, lawmakers passed laws that loosened public meeting requirements for various groups from the local government and state review organizations, and exempted insurers from having to disclose information they report to the legislator. State Treasurer Fiona Ma sponsored the measure to establish new infrastructure agency with her office, while exempting much of its operations from public disclosure, a bill that was ultimately watered down and killed last year. The California Public Records Act, which applies to all state and local agencies except the late legislature and judicial officials, already exempts the disclosure of various attempts at sensitivity information Wilson's measure aims to protect, said Jenny Loro, a vacancy director at the First Amendment Coalition, which champions press freedom and transparency. For example, the state law broadly allows agencies to withhold records when they believe that serves the public interest. There's also a specific protection of the primary drafts and internal discussions of trade secrets and document-related pending litigation involving a public agency and disclosure of a lawsuit is resolved. But depending on the public records, a law that would take up a lot of inspectors, general capacity, and Wilson's chief of the Taylor Woodfolk. The bill is objected to be a small oversight body of the concentrate the generating of the meaningful reports, the student of the high-speed rail program, not to divert limited research forward of the complex CPA questions of defending disclosure of the decisions in court, he said in an email. While the Woodfolk acknowledged the existing exceptions of the public records law, he said not to go too far enough of the Inspector General's office. Under the current law, if the High-Speed Rail Authority is being sued, the Inspector General's office could be required of information agency itself being sued, he said. Both proposals are being allowed people committee, the Inspector General's office, to stay confidential along way of the written request. The law is governed by the state of the individual's under office, Inspector General of the state of the other agencies, the State Departments, and Transportation corrects and reputation. Any project should have intense transparency and security. It's a high-speed rail. But the decision withhold that information based on the objective legitimate criteria. Independent of someone's personal wishes, Laro said. A whistleblower, understandably, may have fear coming forward with important information about waste, fraud, and abuse. But that doesn't mean that they should literally able to control what its public has access to. Low roles that took issue about allowing an Inspector General to issue information due to the potential weakness such as information security and physical security and fraud detection, controls, and pending litigation. Language that CalMatters could not find anywhere else. Steal public records and access laws. Right, on its face, I could see an agency refusing to disclose information because it's embarrassing of its weakness. Lobo said it too often of the agencies. Between words, what it says that ways that ultimate people or decisions that maybe look embarrassing or weak or controversial would create controversy. When they asked about the language, Wilson said she expects the proposal will hold in on the legislative process. This was we fault a good starting point, she said. But it is troubling, whatever. Lawmakers seek to whether hold shield public agencies with disclosure requirements, especially a watchdog agency overseeing judicial project. Lauro and Champion said, if any other project have intense transparency scrutiny, it's a high-speed rail. Champion said the project is the jump seat, and what else in there have not yet cold tuck into this loophole. Okay. So that's it. Alright, now I was going to say something. So, why does Rob Bonta have the full support of the Stop Nick Shirley Act? Or AB 2624? That's what I'm asking, right? I want to tell you why. I'm looking for a Brave search here. All right. So yeah, I know it was other. So yeah, here curious. I mean, it's just the Bonta Files news. Okay, it's just it says beyond its institution of safe home program doxing, harassment and violence targets investigation of the person's private text. Okay. And then right here, Government Attorney General's job on backing Mr. Bill 24 stems of the commitment of the Grecian who face. Okay, death threats, harassment, and doxing. The institution of Isabel beyond Bonta, existing of the state of home address of the survivors. Okay, Ursi followed. Jobs. Okay, this is respond. Okay, and then jurors the magazine investigated while it was done in fear of this. Okay, so that would be some of our attorney general for right now. Yeah, Rob Bonta. He's just a stupid attorney general. Making these laws that violate our First and Fourth Amendment anyway. I don't like it. Anyway, I also want to show you so why does Michael Gates have opposed? Okay, so let's talk about Michael Gates. Oppose AB 24. Yeah, well, why will he oppose it? Let's see. Now, I have nothing to say on Google, but right here, Michael Gates opposes AB Copy Super 2024 because he believes that direct attack of First Amendment rights, and that would prevent citizens, journalists, investigators exposing government fraud. He argues that the bill undermines transparency and accountability in Sacramento. In this video, who investigate government spending. Gates is the institution targets of hold the government accountable for addressing safety concerns. He has pledged to defend journalists against the bill. Okay, if elected jury who will frame it as His effort is that shield the political influence and political scrutiny. You can read right here about this. Yeah, here it is. Michael Gates. Oh, and I don't want to sign it. I don't want to do any newsletter. But you can read right here for why he doesn't oppose. Yeah, why does he oppose it be 2024? Yeah, that. Now I want to talk about why does Bob Bonta have full support of this other bill called AB 1608. Okay, so now let me tell you, let's look at AB 608 now, the fraud of the high-speed rail project. So yes, Rob Bonta supports AB 608 because the best records among the bills reviewed of the context of AB 1002, AB 78, and AB 1094. The response decision to specific retails of AB 608. Yeah. Now here. Now, okay, so Attorney General, so Conflict Attorney General Rob Bonta supports AB Bill 608 because it protects scrutiny, operational security fraud measures, so that for high-speed rails over the office and so general, but the bills indeed shield of the release of the goodies individuals. And then for the goals of the safeguarding of the encourages high-speed rail fully and should deal with the OIG and the direction of the Risk Act and the whistleblowers to investigations. While the bill was supported by Bonta and the news administration, the face of the criticism advocates the concern of the access records carry a highly expensive structure project. Registration for account matters. Okay, so that's one. And now I want to tell you why Michael Gates will oppose it. Well, here, yeah, answer here. Such evidence indicate that the Attorney General is a publicly for because it describes the direct attack of the First Amendment. Okay, yeah, this is a definition of agency, but it does indicate that Attorney General is opposed to 624 is subscribed to First Amendment generalist. It's provided, okay, and it says it's between rather than provisions of AD 608. Yeah, I know, but what we need to do is. Well, that's just the results right now. Yeah, more people are voting. Yeah, more people are for Rob Bonta than Michael Gates. Yeah, I know, which is not good at all. You know. And you saw on my YouTube channel that California can't afford more of the same. You need this. Anyway. Anyway, let's go back. I did not want to see that. But, so I would say the best thing you can do to vote, I would say, I'm just going to say vote for Michael Gaetz for California Attorney General. He will restore law and order in California. That's what he's going to do. Yeah, so he's a lot better candidate to vote for than Rob Bonta. You know, this guy, Michael Gaetz. So I would suggest you to vote for Michael Gaetz. Alright, well. Okay, and he can help us, about, on reform, he can help Carter Mile on reformcalifornia.org about the submarine primary wins and stuff. And the backs of the two-memory system, early voting, and voter ID initiative, and saving Prop 13. And if you want to have help fighting against age vacation, you can go to badinternetbills.com and call your representatives and senators about that. Anyway. And you can watch my How to Go to Heaven video on Rumble, anyways. And BitChute, anyway. But, so that's it for now. You know, I'm a Republican. You know, I believe it's better to make California a red state. Yeah, at least. Because, you know, yes. You know, Michael Gaetz, for Attorney General, he wants to work with both Democrats and Republicans alike. So you should think about that and vote for him instead of Rob Bonta. At least anyway. So I believe you should vote for him instead of Rob Bonta. Yeah, Michael Gaetz. Anyway. I don't know what else to talk about next video. If anything comes up, let me know. I have to go right now, but thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoy. Say goodbye. Adios. Zaijian.